Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cop Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you are having a fantastic day wherever we are around the world. Welcome back to the Cop Council. And yeah, look, the Reds are back in action very quickly. Of course, we are now in the process before the international break in 3 weeks' time. That it is pretty much a game every 3 days now. But again, the Reds are back in action for tomorrow, 3 p.m. against Crystal Palace. A very, very tough game. Let's not lie about it. Crystal Palace are a very, very difficult side to come up against. And look, Liverpool will at least be playing them 3 times this season, won't they? Because, of course, we've been drawn against them in the League Cup. Of course, I say third time. It would technically be a fourth time this season that we play Crystal Palace. But, of course, with all the transfer stuff with Mark Gahey going around, of course, will there be a little bit of extra towards it? No, I don't think so. But nevertheless, again, like I said, it is the only two unbeaten teams in the Premier League that are left. Of course, with Liverpool and Palace. Palace, I believe, are on a 18-match unbeaten run as well. So again, look, like I said, when we talk about it being a difficult game, I think it will be a very, very difficult game for Liverpool tomorrow. Again, especially Selhurst Park. The normal score line around there's only 1-0 or 2-1 from recent years. Anyway, I think you have to go back. I think 2020 was the last time Liverpool beat them very convincingly. But again, I don't think Palace has beat us in that time period since either. So look, the advantage is definitely there for Liverpool. Let's just say that at least. Anyway, but let me know how you lot are in the chat as well. Like we said, we'll talk a little bit about obviously Liverpool Palace game as well. Want to get your guys' thoughts and start 11 predictions as well, so that will be for later on in the show as well, to talk about starting 11s. And of course, I want to quickly start and talk about Palace themselves, because like we said, it has been a very impressive time as of late for Glasner. And I think, look, Oliver Glasner has done a really good job, at Palace, hasn't he? He's done a tremendous job of getting them Europe. Of course, it was the Europa League with the FA Cup, but then obviously got demoted because of John Taxer, is it? Again, I apologize for butchering any names, but still, either way, should Palace have been demoted to the Conference League? No, not at all. I think Palace were very much hard done by there, especially when you look at other multi-club ownerships, and of course, the whole argument around the whole multi-club partnerships. Again, obviously, we can't really talk about that very soon because, of course, Liverpool look like they're going to go and buy Getafe, but still, for the job that Oliver Glasner has done at Palace, I think he's done a very, very good job in getting them settled and secured. And I think, of course, towards the end of the transfer window, I think everyone looking at certain Palace fans and their response was the fact that they hadn't been backed, or Glasner hadn't been backed. And of course, with the whole Mark Gahey situation as well, of course, it caused a lot of problems in terms of the media coverage. Again, can Palace, realistically challenge in Europe while also maintaining their progression up in the Premier League? And look, I think Oliver Glasner has done a really good job of doing that. Again, losing Eze, it's hard in itself, but I think for what Glasner has done with the team so far, I think he's done a really good job in keeping keeping Palace very level-headed. And I think when you look at their games so far in the Premier League, of course they are unbeaten, like I mentioned. Again, I'm quickly looking at their stats now. Obviously, two games won, 3 draws, 6 goals scored, and 2 conceded. But you look at the games that they have had, even since the start of the season. Chelsea away, very difficult game. In that, Forest at home, should they have won that game? Probably. I think some people would say they should have won, but Villa away, getting a comfortable win. And then, again, West Ham away. Yes, we know West Ham are West Ham at the moment, but still, Palace are one of the most informed teams in the Premier League. I think even Arne Slot said today that by the end of the season, probably Liverpool will be sick and tired of seeing Crystal Palace in many ways as well, because, of course, playing them at the end of last season, and then so far we're obviously playing them in the Community Shield and now in the league as well. So, look, at the end of the day, for me, I think Palace will do fine again this season. I think they'll go on to maybe challenge for Europe in terms of, again, competitive spots where they're, normally around what, eighth place that obviously Europe is around with the Conference League. But even still, if they were to go on to win the Conference League, they'd then get in the Europa League, which would be obviously be huge for them, and of course would officially be in the Europa League if it wasn't for again the multi-ownership thing. But still, if they were to go on to win the Conference League, which I think they will go on and do, I think Glasner has that track record, doesn't he, already, of winning trophies, winning the FA Cup, obviously winning the Community Shields as well on penalties against us. And I think the more important one is, of course, beating, I think was it Rangers for Frankfurt for the Europa League crown as well, back in, what was it, 2023, I think it was, so, or 2022. So even still, Glasner knows how to win. He knows to get out the best and the best performances out of his players, and I think that, for me, for looking from the outside in, I think, look, when you do look at managers that can get the best and extract the best out of certain individual players, again, for me, they're top class. And I think Oliver Glasner is a very good manager in the Premier League. And of course, there was a reason why Bayern Munich were willing to spend 40 million euros at one point to get him away from Crystal Palace. But of course, the big one for Palace will be to obviously get him re-signed, get him done in that fact of, get him to renew his contract. Because of course, the whole Mark Gahey situation, a lot of the conversation was around him not willing to let go of Mark Gahey, because then, in his words, Palace couldn't compete. And he got his wish in the end. Obviously, they didn't end up selling Mark Gahey, but there is obviously the big highlight there that Mark Gahey will leave Crystal Palace, if not in January, but definitely will be in the summer. And of course, we already know Liverpool are very, very interested in bringing him to the club as well. So I think, with that being said, they'll look to reinvest. There's probably an idea already of who they got to replace him overall. But I think, again, you look at the whole Eze situation as well. I don't really face him too well either. So potentially, obviously, going into the future, they'll probably look at it and go, oh, we can replace both with top quality. If we was to go on and win the Europa League, or go on to win, certain other trophies as well. That's what I'm saying in the ideal world. Anyway, but obviously, going back to Liverpool, now, obviously, we do know from Arne Slot that obviously Giovanni Leoni will be out for up to a year. It does look like it is worse than first feared with the injury. Arne Slot speaking in today's press conference, saying, again, it looks like he is going to be out for a year, which, again, is really, really sad, considering it was a really solid debut, wasn't it? It was really, really great to see him out there getting his first minutes for Liverpool. And I look at it and go, personally, like, again, he was so good against Palace, and playing on that right-hand side as well. When we talk about, him being backup for Virgil van Dijk, look, he could even issue out competition for, he could have issued competition for Ibu Konate on the right-hand side as well. So, look, it is really, really gutting. And now, obviously, the question mark is, what do Liverpool do potentially in January? Because having, Van Dijk, Konate, Joe Gomez, Endo as well, who can also play there. Of course, Liverpool can rotate in that option. But I think the ideal world is having another centre-half. Whether or not we go after Mark Gahey again, I'm not so sure we do it. Again, with him being free in a year's time. Obviously, well, I say in a year's time, in 6 months, in terms of January, I do look at it and go, if the price is right, do it. Because, again, Liverpool could be, as we hope, going for Champions Leagues, going for Premier Leagues as well. And depending on the injury impact of this season, then again, centre-half might be an option for Liverpool to go back into the market in January. But still, I think as of things right now, I wouldn't be too surprised if Liverpool did sign a centre-half. But also, I do look at it and go, look, for me, it depends on how the situation is in January. If we're okay, or look like we're okay, then I think, okay, maybe we can wait 6 months to try and wait for it. But I think, yeah, if there's the situation where you look at it and go, well, Liverpool are a bit bare and do only have Joe Gomez or, or probably will be likely, Ibu Kanate or Virgil van Dijk, just them two, then yeah, 100% Liverpool need to go and sign a centre off without a shadow of a doubt. But big up Hero as well, saying, "Evening Con, I haven't watched the last game. The Leone news is bad. Hope he keeps his mental strength to get through the injury." Yeah, no, I think I wouldn't be too surprised if he went back to Italy. Really, I think Arne Slot spoke about it today, didn't he? About how for somebody that's just come over to a new country, a new way of life, and then having that type of injury, it's not great. But I think what will happen is similar, like with Ox. Like Ox was obviously doing his therapy, at Melwood at the time, but a lot of it he spent away from like the first team as well. Again, I don't know, because again, it's a different regime at the football club in terms of medical staff and in terms of manager as well. But I wouldn't be too surprised if he did spend maybe a little bit of time in Italy, because again, it's all he has to do now really is rehab and obviously physical work and so on as well. But yeah, obviously we're hoping a speedy recovery for him. But again, with Arne Slot confirming it over a year, it's the extreme end of the ACL, which it's isn't great. But like he said, he's young enough; he can come back, he can fight for it as well. And yeah, hopefully we'll see him better than ever next season as well. But the one thing I would also say as well, leading up to this game, obviously he did speak about Alexander Isak as well, who, is there, as you guys can see. But of course, he spoke about him highly, didn't he, in the press conference. He can start, which is good news. But of course, he's the only Liverpool striker that can start, thanks to Hugo Ekitike being an idiot and taking his shit off. But again, Arne Slot did kind of debunk the whole docked wages by, I think it was Dominic King, that did release that article piece saying that he'd been suspended 2 weeks' wages. Again, I don't know how true that is, but again, Arne Slot said that it's not realistically true either. Which, look, at the end of the day, I wouldn't be too surprised if there was any like reprimand for it, because look, at the end of the day, he's done a stupid thing. But again, he'll learn from it. He'll, he won't do that again, I wouldn't think anyway. But look, at the end of the day, it's a really stupid thing. But obviously, talking about the game more importantly, I think the big conversation is who, and there are a few in terms of starting 11s, who starts for Liverpool in terms of the midfield, because, I've seen a lot of people this week on other channels and on social media as well say that McAllister's been really bad and been really, not great. And look, don't get me wrong, has Alexis McAllister been superb? Has he been what he was last season? No, he hasn't been. But don't get me wrong, he's been injured for he's not been match fit for the season. Look, it's funny how Arne Slot speaks about how Macca's not been 100% himself. Also, Scavini as well for Argentina also said that he's not 100% fit. So surely you don't play him. Surely you allow him a bit of rest and allow him to obviously gain his fitness back up. So I think for that reason, in my opinion, I do think Liverpool will start with the mid. Obviously, let me know your guys' thoughts. Obviously, Cal's put his team in the comments. But when we talk about starting 11s, then for me, I think midfield-wise, it has to be Grav, Dortmund, and Florian Wirtz. I think there's no real other option. I know obviously you could put Curtis Jones alongside Grav as well, and then Dom in the 10. But look, for me, I think that is Liverpool's best midfield at the moment is Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, and Wirtz, because even though, again, Wirtz hasn't got a goal or assist, again, he's been unlucky with that situation. Like, if Mo Salah had, a good first touch against Arsenal, probably Florian Wirtz gets 2 assists in that game. Same against, the previous game. Again, Wirtz had a few opportunities. Even, he's been unlucky in terms of, it's just that little moment, isn't it? The one little element to it as well. But don't get me wrong, like, again, if Liverpool winning games and people, and this is what I laugh at really, when people say that Liverpool don't look great or Liverpool are not playing well and this, that, and the other. If Liverpool's still winning games of football and not playing well, it means that you're doing something right. It's not like Liverpool doing things wrong. Either. Look, there are a few things Liverpool could do. Yeah, 100%. Look, the fact that in certain games we've been 2-0 up and then bottled the 2-0 lead to get a late winner. That's the other side of it. But in my opinion, I do think when you look at it and go, if Liverpool not playing quote unquote their best and still getting the results, and of course Liverpool, I think when you look at was it Opta? Sorry, chap. I think if you look at Opta, they said Palace should be top of the league right now because of their XG going forward and their XG going backwards as well. Is the best in the league. And I think Liverpool's was around fifth or sixth in that way. In my opinion, don't get me wrong, Liverpool defensively, we don't concede many chances. Well, we don't. But the chances that we have been conceding, we end up conceding from. And that's been the problem. But yeah, no, I think going forward, I think Liverpool are still perfectly fine. And once Vert starts, I don't think he'll stop. You know, in terms of the goals and the assists and the overall play, I think once he gets properly settled in, which again might take another couple of weeks to gel in. But I think, you know, again, Florian Wirtz will be a world-class player for Liverpool. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. Kel says Alisson, Bradley, Kanate, Van Dijk, Kirkes, Jones, Grav, Szoboszlai, Gakpo, Isak, and Salah. So Jones in the midfield for you, Cal, as well. But big up Edward as well, saying big up Con. Maybe Alexis will play himself into form, and the more he plays, potentially. Yeah, again, there's always the potential around it. But for me, I think certainly in a game against Palace where I think the first 20, 30 minutes will be back and forth. It will be because again, Palace have a certain attack-minded football. Liverpool also have attack-minded football. I think when the game gets a bit more, with a bit more bite, in terms of tackles and in terms of, trying to win the ball back and gain possession, I think for me, when it does become a lot more physical, I think Maka is perfect for that. I think Maka is a very good player at doing that and winning the ball back for Liverpool and retaining the ball in certain areas as well. I think for me, what I would do tomorrow is bring Maka on around the 60th minute, 70th minute, and just have him be that player. Because when it is the nitty gritty of it, for me, I think Maka, I think he's by far amazing for Liverpool in that area as well. So, yeah, I would say bring Maka on tomorrow. But no, I could agree absolutely as well, Edward, as well. But I prefer physicality this game. Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, Palace, we've seen, certainly like last year, I would say, like we've seen how we beat them 1-0 at Selhurst Park last season, I think. I don't know, let me double check because I did have the games up on the what's name. Yeah, no, we beat them last season 1-0. I will quickly show you the games. Obviously, the last couple of games against. So as you can see, but there, obviously the 2-2 in the Community Shield, obviously 1-1 at the end of last season, and then 1-0. Diogo Jota again the winner for Liverpool. But that game was very, very close. Again, even though they did beat us at Anfield as well, I completely forgot about the game. Obviously, that was the game really that Liverpool lost the league under Jurgen. But you look at obviously the games in between that, it's been very close in all the games. Again, like I said, obviously the 2-2 in the Community Shield, we don't really count the Community Shield. We look at, again, 1-1, 1-0, 1-0, 2-1, 0-0. Like, again, the only time, obviously the January 2022, Liverpool beat Palace 3-1. That's probably the, from then on, it's only been a goal or realistically the 2-0 at Anfield. Club friendly, where was that? Oh, that was on international break. On pre-season. But you look at the league fixtures since then, it's only been a goal in it, and again, Palace for Liverpool has always been a difficult game as well. So, look, at the end of the day, I'm expecting a fully difficult game tomorrow again. I'm not going to lie. I think it'll be a very hard fought game for Liverpool. For me, I was, like I said, start 11 in my prediction. For me, I think Ali will start, obviously. Right back, I want to say Conor Bradley, but I'm also torn in between because, look, don't get me wrong, I think Jeremy Frimpong's better than Conor Bradley at the minute. But yeah, I would go Conor Bradley, Kanate, Van Dijk, Kirkes, Grav, Dom, and Verts. That's the midfield three for me for tomorrow. And then front three. Don't shoot the messenger. Salah, Isak, Chiesa on the left. Why not? It will be Gakpo, but for his performance midweek, give it to Federico Chiesa. You know, I think he does deserve a lower for running the team. But again, I think in an ideal world, Arne Slot's plans or thought process is, you know, Cody Gakpo and Rio Ngamoa are the left hand side, and then you can maybe consider Federico Chiesa. But look, he was everywhere, wasn't he? Against Southampton. So look, I think he deserves a chance. But yeah, it probably will be Gakpo. But yeah, I'd like to see the front three of Chiesa, Isak, and of course Mohamed Salah, which hopefully, you know, Alexander Isak gets his first goal in the Prem now for Liverpool as well. But yeah, 1-0 Jots as well. Edward says under Glasner, they're a different team. Yeah, no, they are. Again, this is the thing where this is why I think he won't be there next season as well. I don't think Oliver Glasner will be at Palace next season onwards. I think there's too many teams, I think, at the minute that's currently operating that want a new manager, like Manchester United, for example. I also think, you know, don't get me wrong, people will laugh at going like, oh, you know, Glasner could go to Arsenal, you know, and look, when you look at managers and what they've done, Glasner's won pretty much exactly the same as what Mikel Arteta's won. Don't shoot the messenger. But look, at the end of the day, I think United could be a really good job for him. I don't think Ruben Amorim stays after next season personally, but look, there's multiple jobs in Europe where I think Glasner could be looking at it and going, look, if he was to win, obviously the way Palace have played and that, and also if he was to win them a FA Cup, a Community Shield, and a Conference League, then yeah, like look, he's done an amazing job there, you know. And I think any team in Europe, then, if they're looking for a manager, I think he possibly is then the number one, you know, pick then, really, isn't he? I'd play Chiesa, but Slot said he'll bring him on the bench as well. Did he actually say that? I must have missed that. And probably Cal. It's all right. The messenger won't be. Jesus Christ. But look, at the end of the day, as long as Liverpool get 3 points, I'm more than happy with that. But look, it is a very difficult game to go to. My prediction's 2-1 Liverpool. I don't think, again, clean sheets are not a thing for Liverpool this season, unless they are against Arsenal or Burnley. But yeah, no, look, I'm going to go to 2-1, I would say. 2-1 Liverpool. I think Isak and Salah for Liverpool. I think it'd be a penalty for Liverpool. But yeah, Isak and Salah, 2-1 win. And I think, you know, like, we then got Galatasaray then midweek, haven't we? And then the following weekend, I believe it's Chelsea. I think it is. Hang on a minute, let me double check. Is it Chelsea then after Palace for us? Palace, Galatasaray, Chelsea, then an international break, and then Manchester United after the international break. So yeah, no, 2-1 Liverpool. I'm gonna go for. Ollie's in. Hello, Ollie, saying Isak. No, just sing the ABBA song for him anyway. But just end the game already before it's begun. It smells. Yeah, it does, to be fair. Yeah, Gala and then Chelsea. 2-1 the Reds, Isak and Chiesa. I would love that as well. But yeah, I think Isak will back one tomorrow for sure. I would agree with that anyway. But look, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments down below as well. Look, I just hope 3 points. That's the main one. No injuries and 3 points. Also, as well, obviously tomorrow we'll be live probably. Will we? No, we'll probably it'll probably be post It'll be posted as a video tomorrow. I think it'll be straight after the game. It won't be live. I don't think tomorrow it'll be match reaction straight after the game, but obviously it'll be pre-recorded for you guys. Then Sunday, I think we're going to do a bit of a show with a bit of something a bit different. Obviously talking about the game and obviously a bit more in depth. Try to anyway. But yeah, anything else will be live for it. Of course, anyway, again, obviously the big, actually, I should have said this before the start of the show. Rio Ngamoa as well, getting a brand new contract for Liverpool. Obviously, it's a 3-year deal. Obviously, people didn't really understand yesterday why it's only a 3-year contract. But of course, you know, with an academy graduate, obviously getting a professional contract from a scholarship, the maximum you can give him is a 3-year contract. So again, if Liverpool have given him the maximum amount they can. Don't get me wrong. Probably in a year's time, Liverpool will offer him a 5-6 year contract to keep him at the club. Because again, that's how talented and how Liverpool, indoors believe Rio Ngamoa could be England's best winger as well in the next couple of years. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts anyway on the Palace game as well. Let me know score predictions and goal scorers down below as well. Don't be another Woodburn or Brewster. Hey, look, Brewster's got a Champions League medal, Cal. But no, look, I don't know what you mean. But no, Rio Ngamoa, I think I think he will be a special talent for Liverpool moving forward, at least anyway, in my opinion. But look, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your night. Anyway, hopefully everyone has a good Friday, wherever you are around the world. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow for the match reaction. Hopefully Liverpool get all 3 points as well. But I've been Connor from the Cook Council. We'll see you guys later on. Ta-ra.